Front Page Dramas present Lost a Fortune in a Revolution That Never Happened. This week's Front Page drama, Lost a Fortune in a Revolution That Never Happened, is a dramatization of a true life story of the same name, which appears in next Sunday's issue of the American Weekly, the magazine with the greatest circulation in the world, which comes to you each week as a part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. This is the strange story of a kidnapped aristocrat, one of the most carefully planned and executed plots in the pages of French criminal history. It began 2 years ago, when Madame Managere Dubois, a 72-year-old French aristocrat, met a young man at a public reception. His name was Jean Charpentier. Madame Dubois was very much impressed by Monsieur Jean's charming personality. And as so often happens to aged persons, when someone with charm and consideration comes along, she made him her sole confidant. She trusted him implicitly with everything except money. And when it came to money, dear old Madame Dubois was nothing if not cagey. But she might have saved herself a lot of money, heartache, and worry if she could have listened in on a little meeting in the kitchen of her chateau one night. Seated around the table were Henriette, her maid, her own respected Monsieur Jean, and one Hubert de Lalleman.
It is no good, I tell you. They're not getting anywhere with the old lady. She is a wise old fox when it comes to money. I've tried everything, every way to get my hands on some of that fortune. But she just will not be tricked.
Well, if you ask me, we're wasting our time. Why not give up and move on to Paris again? There are always much better streets to be caught there.
Don't be a fool, Hubert. You know what will happen if you settle in Paris. The police will pick you up in no time. Besides, you haven't a sou. You need money to start anything in Paris.
Yes, Henriette is right. And what is more, I am going through with this little game. We've spent too much time and trouble to give up now.
Jean, Hubert, listen. I think I have the answer.
Yes?
Now pay attention. As you said, Madame is very foxy about money. And most things. But there is one thing she lives in terror and mortal fear of. The revolution.
The revolution? What revolution?
Both Marguerite and I have to read the papers to her. And the present political situation. The many strikes, the communistic activities, the radicals in the Chambre des Députés are very sanity. The recent demonstrations and street fights are terror to our heart every time we read them. Now, why can we not work along that line of attack?
I think you have something there, my little cabbage. Please, first we must pay up to social unrest. She is a royalist. Revolution to her with the faker. She is wealthy. The revolution would rob her of her fortune. But I, a brave Monsieur Jean, could save her. Please, like the Scarlet Pimpernel of the Revolution of '89, I would dedicate my life to save her and all the aristocrats from the tumbrils. Please, my little one, I think you have found the answer.
Well, if you ask me, it sounds preposterous. I suppose you would start up a revolution, have the papers print stories.
Ah, madness. No, wait. Wait. Have papers? Print stories? Bonjour. Just give me an idea. Francois, Marguerite's brother, has that printing shop. Hey, he will do it.
Do what? What are you talking about?
Oh, nonsense. This case is closed. Let's move out and start on something that won't take so long.
That's the truth. Henriette, you, Marguerite, and I have got to play upon the old lady's fears of the revolution. She shall build up little incidents, newspaper stories, gradually increase her fear. And in the meantime, I make arrangements with Francois to send me some newspapers that will stand the stick.
And so Monsieur Jean, Henriette the maid, and Marguerite the nurse gradually worked upon Madame Dubois' fears until she came to accept their word as gospel truth, and her terror of the revolution became an obsession. Then one evening, when a light thunderstorm was breaking, Monsieur Jean and Hubert rushed into her room.
Madame, the very thing we prayed against it has come. The revolution But, madame, the newspapers have just arrived on the evening train.
Henriette, my darling, speak to me now. How serious is it, Monsieur Jean?
Very bad. The revolt is spreading north. Rouen, Havre, other cities. There is armed revolt.
Oh, listen, madame. Gone. Do you hear? I remember them from the war. My beloved Kate. Oh, what would happen to us all? I knew this would happen. Rouen, Havre. It is close to us here. And I, the last of a long line of militant royalists.
Never fear, madame. They shall not harm you. Joubert and I myself will protect you. But there is no time to lose. You cannot remain here in this patrol. This is one of the first cases those madmen will march upon.
May I suggest the south of France, the Riviera? Seems very quiet.
Yes, and I have a small villa there. What do you think, Monsieur Jean?
If you are willing, madame, we could make a dash for it. But we would have to be very careful.
Very well, Monsieur Jean. We will try it. And yet, that might finish quickly. Order the car at once, Serena.
We must keep all the blinds drawn in the car. You must not be recognized. And if not that, no one must talk. You understand? We will have to try to drive in the Revolutionary Guard that try to stop us.
Good. I will help. Fortunately, I have kept my wits about me these last few restless years.
Good.
I knew this evil day would come, but I am prepared. I have plenty of ready cash hidden away within these walls. Monsieur Jean,
Madame.
you see that small table there under the crosses of my father?
Oui, madame. What can I do?
Turn it upside down. Here, take this heavy paper knife and tie off underneath. There is a false bottom.
Yes, madame.
In it you will find 50,000 franc notes. Take them for emergency. Later I will tell you where there is more.
Madame, the car is ready. Your luggage is packing in the car.
Quick, madame. Your hat, your coat, and your glass. Marguerite is locking everything securely. Good, good. I am ready now. Let it begin.
And so, under the cover of darkness, Madame Dudu was whisked away. Days and weeks went by, and soon the people of the village of Handenau began to become suspicious of what became of the kind old lady in the Chateau of Caerleon. Their whispered suspicions became louder, and finally reached the ears of the officials of the Sûreté Nationale, the French Scotland Yard, and they started to investigate.
And what have you found out about this strange case, M. Bernard? Well, I went to Handenau. I questioned most of the villagers and farmers near the Chateau of Caerleon. They all tell the same story. Madame Dubu was a nice, kindly old lady. The villagers and her tenants look upon her as a sort of godmother. Now, they say that one evening last summer, she was seen getting into her car with her maid, her nurse, and two men, who apparently had been frequent visitors to the chateau. Did you get a good description of these men? Yes, excellent description. The blinds and the limousine were all drawn. It was given away, and that is the last anyone has seen of Madame Dubu. I see. And have you picked up any clues? That is why I am here. I watched the chateau carefully for a week, and voila, yesterday my patience was rewarded. One of the men who had given away with Madame paid a visit to the chateau. He has been doing this occasionally. Well, he was there for about an hour. When he came out, I followed him back here to Paris. He went right out to the Jockey Club. So I left Caron there to shadow him. Shadow him? Why did you not pick him up? No. His arrest would warn his accomplices and they would flee again. Perhaps kill their prisoner, the old lady. No, monsieur. We are going to let him remain at large. Soon he will lead us to the object of our search. Monsieur Dumont speaking.
This is Perron, Monsieur Dumont. We'll go down with you.
Just a moment. Perron. Hello, Perron. Godin speaking.
Oh, listen. Our man has left the racetrack. He was betting and losing heavily.
Huh?
I followed him to the railway station. He has bought a ticket for the Riviera. I am following. Meet me if you can. The train leaves in 20 minutes.
Buy me a ticket. I will be there.
Oh, very good. I will meet you at the train gate.
The two detectives followed their man to the quiet little town on the Riviera, right to the door of Madame Dubier's villa. Then they went back to the local police prefect, secured reinforcements who were stationed around the house. Then Detectives Perron and Godin rang the bell, and the maid, Henriette, answered the door.
Mademoiselle, we are seeking Madame Dubourg. We understand she resides here.
Well, she did, monsieur. But she always goes north in the warm weather. She left 2 weeks ago.
That is too bad. Would you mind if we come in and look around?
But,
Yes,
no,
mademoiselle, don't
no,
scream.
no.
Or try to give your accomplices any warning. We are officers from the Sûreté Nationale.
Oh.
Entrez, Perron.
Oh.
Take her into custody. Come along, the rest of you. Search the house. This way, monsieur. I have found Madame Dubourg.
Please, madame, I beg of you, don't be frightened, madame. We are not revolutionaries. Madame, there is no revolution. We are officers of the Sûreté Nationale. We have come to save you.
It took some time to quiet the hysterical and sobbing old aristocrat and convince her that there was no revolution. And little by little, the fantastic details of the plot came out. Henriette, her maid, had married John Charpentier, and they were in league with her nurse, Marguerite, and Hubert. It was Marguerite's brother who printed the fake but convincing newspapers telling of the revolution. The gang kept the old lady secluded in her Riviera villa. Her fears were constantly played upon to tell of new hiding places in the chateau where money might be found, with which to bribe the revolutionaries and keep them from destroying her chateau, her village, and herself. Charges against Charpentier stated that he had cashed checks for $500,000, sold bonds and other securities, and dissipated all of the helpless woman's inheritance. And she, although finally convinced that France is at peace and prosperous, has nothing to gain by it. She has lost her fortune in the revolution, even though it didn't happen. You have just heard a radio dramatization of Lost a Fortune in the Revolution That Never Happened. A true life story to be found in next Sunday's issue of the American Weekly, the magazine with the greatest circulation in the world that comes to you at no extra cost as part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Join the millions of Americans who each Sunday find the maximum of reading enjoyment in the entertaining, educational, and up-to-the-minute stories, articles, and feature fiction by the world's best writers to be found in every issue of the American Weekly, the magazine distributed each Sunday with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Front Page Dramas presents The Return of the Prodigal. This week's Front Page drama, The Return of the Prodigal, is one of a series of many stories that comprise a very interesting article to be found in next Sunday's issue of the American Weekly, the magazine with the greatest circulation in the world that comes to you each week as a part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Under the title, Have You Heard These Strange Tales? Dr. Donald A. Laird, Doctor of Psychology and Science, former director of Colgate University.